Hi everyone. A quick comment before the episode starts. To keep making these episodes, we need your support. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and share with your friends. Every subscription helps. If you're listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or any other podcast platform, please give us a rating and leave a review. Your feedback is really important because it keeps us going. Thank you and enjoy today's episode.
If you're driving in a developed country and you hear that sound, you know what to do.
You pull over.
And there's a process that you follow. You stay in your car, the officer approaches, he or she may ask for some documents. They'll use their computer to pull up records of any of your previous offenses.
If you've done something wrong, you'd get a ticket. If it's really serious, your car may be impounded.
But make no mistake, being pulled over is a very stressful thing, even in developed countries.
And in Nigeria, it's another level of stress.
Come, road safety officers, why are you people delaying me? Can you tell me what we have done so we can move on?
We found this video that someone posted on Tech World Gist's YouTube channel. It appears like the passenger who is filming the video and her driver were pulled over by road safety officers.
In Nigeria, road safety officers are officers of the Federal Road Safety Commission. The commission was created by the federal government in 1988 to put an end to accidents, especially those caused by traffic, and to create a safe environment for vehicles. So they are on the lookout for driving offenses and other dangerous road conditions.
But in the video, the woman and her driver are confused about why they have been pulled over. After going back and forth with the officers for several minutes, the woman decides to call her lawyer.
Hello, barrister. Please, some road safety officers stopped my driver on the way that he was making call while driving. Now, they stopped us and telling him to swear by tire. I don't understand, but I know that this is not professional or even in the law. First of all, they say that my driver, who I'm in the back of the seat, that my driver was operating his phone. They just jumped into the vehicle. Now they are asking him to swear by the tire. Now they are all walking away. I have everything recorded. I have their videos.
And as she speaks to her lawyer, the officers walk away.
From Triple E Media, I'm Rahmat Muhammad, and this is The Backstory.
In 2019, Road Safety reported that Nigerians committed over 2 million driving offenses. These include those that were stopped, cautioned, and booked.
Okay, so the first time I was pulled over, it was, I want to say sometime in 2019. And actually, I took a picture of the ticket. So let me pull that up so that I can get you guys the exact date that I was pulled over. It was on the 3rd of December, 2019 at 3:15 in the afternoon. And this was in Maitama. So I remember
That's our boss, Dr. Rahmat Muhammad. And she was one of the traffic offenders in 2019. On today's episode, we're going to look at the most critical offenses that Nigerian drivers make and the top causes of crash accidents. And we'll talk about what we should be doing as drivers when we're asked to pull over by road safety officials.
Every year, Road Safety releases an annual report. And according to their 2019 report, which is 378 pages long, there were over 11,000 road traffic crashes caused by different types of violations.
The top 6 causes of violations were speed violations, dangerous driving, wrongful overtaking, tire burst, brake failure, and route violation. These 6 causes account for a little over 80% of the total number of crashes in 2019.
That same year, 2019, Road Safety launched Operation Cobra in the Federal Capital Territory and its environs. The operation focused on the most critical offenses, and these were use of phone while driving, light or sign violation, seatbelt use violation, driver's license violation, and overloading.
So the causes of crashes are different from the offenses. Crashes are caused by overspeeding, wrongful overtaking, dangerous driving, tire burst, brake failure, and route violation. But yet, none of these are on the list of critical offenses in the FCT.
There appears to be a disconnect between the causes of crashes and the critical offenses, and that might have to do with location of where crashes happen versus where offenders are caught.
The critical offenses of use of phone while driving, light or sign violation, seatbelt use violation, driver's license violation, and overloading are caught in areas where drivers have slowed down and an officer can easily stop the driver.
But then when we look at the offense of speed limit violation, it's harder to detect and catch speed limit violators.
Road safety would need special equipment like a radio detection and ranging monitor to detect if a vehicle is above the speed limit. Then let's say they are able to get the equipment. The next thing is to get the driver to actually stop.
Now, within towns and streets, they can put up speed bumps to force vehicles to slow down, and we do see a lot of those around. Between the speed bumps and bad roads, motorists are forced to slow down in towns and cities. But on the expressways and highways, there's not much that road safety can do about speed limit violations without the proper equipment and ways to catch violators. Plus, there's the issue that people need to know what the speed limits are.
According to highwaycode.com.ng, the speed limit depends on the type of vehicle and environment. For example, speed limit for taxi and buses in built-up areas is 50 km per hour. On highways, it's 80, while on an expressway, it's 90.
But knowing what the speed limits are and having consequences for exceeding them are two very different things. So as a driver at this moment in our country's development, you don't have to worry too much about offenses that you commit on highways and expressways, because the likelihood of being detected and getting caught are low.
But if you want to stay alive, then it's in your best interest to limit committing offenses on highways and expressways. Because of the high speeds, offenses committed on highways and expressways are more likely to lead to crashes and death.
Okay, so the fines that you have to worry about are for offenses you commit along build-up areas like towns, villages, and cities, because you are more likely to get caught there.
So what do you do when you are pulled over?
Actually, even before that, who can pull you over as a driver for committing a driving offense?
So I'm driving, and I see road safety, which is FRSC. In my mind, it's FRSC, but everybody calls it road safety. FRSC is the Federal Road Safety Commission.
Yes, Nigeria has a lot of law enforcement agencies. There are 2 agencies that can stop you on the road for committing a driving or vehicle violation. The Federal Road Safety Commission, FRSC, which we commonly call Road Safety, and Vehicle Inspection Officers, or VIO, as part of the Directorate of Road Traffic Services. They can stop you and inspect your vehicle.
Now, the police can also technically stop you as part of their overall mandate to enforce law and order. But for driving offenses, they would then have to get road safety or VIO involved so that the due process for traffic offense can be followed.
Okay, so then what happens when they pull you over?
Well, if you're stopped or flagged down by a law enforcement officer, most likely the police or perhaps the road safety, you will clear properly off the road, get your vehicle completely out of the road so you don't constitute a hazard for other road users that may be coming behind or in front of you. So you clear properly off the road if they ask you to do so.
That's Ejo Nduka Ejo, the team leader, managing director of Ace Center Driving School, which has a branch here in Abuja. According to him, after you pull over, you should remain in your vehicle.
Now, sit in your vehicle. Don't come out of the vehicle unless they ask you to do so. So the police stops you, you stay where you are in your vehicle. If they demand that you step out of the vehicle, then you do so. Otherwise, they come to you and ask you the questions they need to ask you.
And then make sure you look for the officer's name tag on their shirts.
Usually, they should have their name tag on their shirt. So as you interact with them, relate to them as a person, not necessarily as a police officer. Treat them like humans and relate to them by calling them their names, which is clearly on their shirts. Look friendly. Don't appear to be in any way offended because they stopped you, because they are on a duty. And sometimes you never can tell. The bad elements in society that are stopped on the road, they are randomly stopped by the police. And circumstances would lead to proof that they are not people that should be free on the road. So when they stop you, you should look friendly and polite. Be polite to the police and be prepared to answer any of their questions.
Now, sometimes when the officer gets to your vehicle, he or she will attempt to enter the front or rear passenger seat. According to experiences we have had, they claim to do this to ensure that you don't drive away. But as long as you are law-abiding and you pull over when they ask, there's absolutely no reason why they should enter your vehicle.
I don't know why they should come into your vehicle, because if they need anything, they can ask. All they'll do is ask you to show them. If it's something that is in the trunk of the vehicle, well, you step out and show them. Why come into your vehicle? I don't think I don't know why that should happen.
Now, after they approach your window, either the driver's side or front passenger side window, they will ask to see documents.
There are a number of documents the driver should always have in their vehicle. One of those documents should be their driver's license. They should also have a current insurance certificate of the vehicle they are driving. The insurance certificate should be a duplicate copy. It shouldn't be the original. So you could scan it in color to have it, looking well presentable. Another document they should have, if it's a commercial vehicle, should be a certificate of vehicle roadworthiness. They should also have a license for the vehicle. And if the vehicle has tinted glasses, they should have a permit for it from a police station.
And according to Mr. Ejo, it's okay to have photocopies of these documents. Though, according to a video that we found, road safety says you must carry the original driver's license with you.
And again, you don't need to present the originals of all these vehicles, but your driver's license, the original, must be presented.
The officer may also ask that you demonstrate you have items that you are required to have in your vehicle, like a warning triangle and fire extinguisher.
I got pulled over, and I had all my papers in the car. I had my license, I had the vehicle registration. My dad made sure I had all that stuff because this was my first year in Nigeria, so I had to kind of get used to the system. So I pulled over, I stayed in the car. And the officer approached my window, the driver's side window. I rolled down the window, exchanged pleasantries, and then he asked for my paperwork. So I gave him the paperwork. Everything was in order. He gave me back the paperwork. And I thought, oh, great, painless. And then he goes, do you have a triangle and a fire extinguisher? And I thought that was an odd question to ask because I've never thought about having a fire extinguisher in a car. We don't have fire extinguishers in our car in the US. It's not really a requirement. So I thought it was odd. But then I said, I don't know. And actually it was true. I didn't know because again, I had just gotten in the car and I didn't really know what was really in the car. So he just said, okay, you know what, just step out of the car and let's go check your trunk. I said, okay, no problem. So I got out of the car, we went, opened the trunk, and yeah, I didn't have a fire extinguisher or triangle.
Now, let's say, just like our boss here, that you did violate a traffic code. Then road safety can give you a ticket.
So he said, okay, no problem. He was going to write me a ticket, and then I would pay the ticket, and that was fine. I mean, it's normal for me getting a ticket because, again, in the U.S., that's how we do things. You get pulled over. If it's a violation, you get a ticket. So he wrote the ticket out, and it was, again, very straightforward, guys. Like, I still have a picture of the ticket because I keep these types of records. But the ticket clearly has...
The ticket you get from road safety is one page. On the front page, there will be details that identify you and your vehicle.
The ticket clearly has my vehicle registration number on it, the type of car I was driving, the make, and the color as well. And then it also has the location where the violation happened or where they stopped me. They had my driver's license information.
And on the back are a list of violations that road safety is authorized to fine you for, as well as the amount for each violation.
The back of the ticket has a list of all of the possible violations and what the penalties are associated with each one. So for me, on the very back, he checked the violation, which was driving without a specified fire extinguisher. And the code for that is FEV. And the penalty is 3,000 naira.
And then after you're given the ticket, they'll confiscate something from you.
And then there's a section on the ticket that says confiscation. So after he wrote out the ticket, he actually had to confiscate something from me, right? So he confiscated my driver's license. And again, this is odd for me because in the US, when you get a ticket, all that information is on there and it's in a computerized system. So even if and there's a way, and they have your address in the computerized system, so there's no way for you to not pay your ticket. But in Nigeria, everything is paper-based. There isn't a computerized system that ties everything together yet. So I guess in order for them to ensure that people pay, they have to confiscate something.
Depending on how bad the violation is, they usually just take your driver's license. If you don't have a license, then they will take your car.
So for me, they confiscated my driver's license. Now, interestingly enough, when you look at the ticket, I'm looking at it right now, there are other things they could have confiscated. Like they could have confiscated my passport, which I never carry around anyway, your vehicle or your vehicle keys. So that's kind of interesting.
And this is to ensure that you actually go and pay for the violation in order to collect your license or your vehicle.
Getting my license back, oh my God. So that was a pain. It was a pain because the process is not as it's not as straightforward. So the first thing is, to get my license back, I had to go to the Federal Secretariat. And I remember it was so hot that day. Oh my God, it was hot. And then as soon as I got there, first of all, I had to figure out where to go. So I went to what seemed like a lobby area. I don't know if you want to call it a lobby, but I went in and I asked for directions. I said, I'm here to pay for this ticket and get my license. And like everything in Nigeria, there were no signs directing me anywhere. I had to rely on the person who had no clue, but she pretended like she did. So she sent me on this wild goose chase to some other part of the building. I spent like about 20, 30 minutes just going around this building on this hot, hot day, looking for this place where I'm supposed to go get my license. So finally, I find the place. And oh God. First of all, it's like this hole in the wall. It's a tiny area that could fit maybe 2 or 3 people max. And they've got literally like 3 women in there. It's super hot. They don't have a fan, very little like window space. So there's very little air blowing. I mean, she's pissed off because it's hot. And, I'm upset because like I've been walking around in this heat for 20, 30 minutes. So I get to her window finally and I'm just like, okay, I'm here to get my license. And she asked me, she said, do you have your RRR? And I'm like, my what? And she's like, you need to get an RRR. And I'm like, what is an RRR? I don't understand what you're talking about. So she finally says, okay, there's a computer center there, go there, you log into something or other, do this RRR, then go to the bank, take the RRR to the bank, make the payment at the bank, and then come back and get your license. So I was like, okay, fine. So apparently this RRR, I still don't know what it stands for, but it's like, I think remitter retrieval something. But it's a way to ensure that the payment that you make goes to the government as opposed to, I guess, somebody's pocket. So I actually went to the computer center, but again, it was packed with people. It was impossible to get, it was going to take me forever. So I managed to log online to Remitta, and that's where I was able to generate this RRR. And then that number I took to the bank. And then from the bank, I made the payments. And then from there, I then took the printed out record back to this hole in the wall. And then finally showed her that number, that record. And then she then gave me my license back. So the whole thing took, about maybe an hour and a half of my day. But, it was just super hot and frustrating. But I got the license back.
But even though the fines are relatively small, the whole experience is designed to be painful so that you learn your lesson. Our boss learned her own.
Now, this is the best part. So after that, I was like, fine, you know what? I'm going to get my triangle. I'm going to get my fire extinguisher. And then I looked at the entire list of all the things that they can give me tickets for, just to make sure that I had everything I needed to have in the car, just so next time I got stopped, it'd be okay. So, I'm thinking, it's all under control. And in fact, it got to the point where I was looking forward to being stopped by them again, because I was like, I got everything you guys need. You can't ticket me for anything. So then the next time I get stopped, road safety. So I was running late for a meeting. And for me, being new in Abuja, I need my GPS to do everything. So I'm running late for a meeting, and I had pulled over to kind of set my GPS, but then I started driving again, and I was still fiddling a little bit with my GPS. And of course, they see me. And so he pulls.
Because the process can be time-consuming, some Nigerians attempt to bypass it even before it gets to the stage of getting the tickets.
And that's where the bribes come in.
Now, it takes two to engage in bribe. The one who offers the bribe and the one who takes. And sometimes the officers give the impression that they are willing to take bribes.
Especially the ones that insist on getting into your car. That's where the negotiations often happen.
And since they are in your car, you must negotiate to get them out.
That's why you never should let them in your car. But let's say you do get pulled over for a violation and an officer does not give you a ticket. Instead, he's expecting a handout. At that point, you can insist that he give you a ticket for the violation. And it turns out that there's actually a fine for attempting to bribe an officer. The specific violation is called attempting to corrupt marshal, and it carries a 10,000 naira fine.
Okay, so the process is very clear when road safety officers stop you. But things get a bit sketchy when the Nigeria police stop you.
As far as we know, police officers are not authorized to give you a ticket for a traffic code violation. They can stop you and then wait for road safety or VIO to arrive at the scene.
Sometimes the police will tell you that you need to go with them to the police station so they can book you. Again, sometimes they will insist on getting in your car in order to drive you to the station. In those situations, it is recommended once again that you do not allow them into your vehicle.
Well, if you're a law-abiding person and they stopped you, you stopped. I don't think there's any need for any anxiety from any party. So if they want you to follow them to the station, I think you ought to drive behind them. Like I said, your vehicle is a private space. So they tell you they're going to the station, and if you've come to an agreement with them, you're going to that station, they lead you to the station. So you drive behind them. Or ask them where the station is and drive to the station and wait for them.
It's unclear to us why a person will need to go to the police station for a driving offense. That should be something that could be settled on the road through a traffic ticket and confiscating a driver's license, or if need be, a vehicle.
But when some Nigerians hear police say that they have to go to the station, they immediately just choose to settle with the police officer on the spot by giving them money to avoid the hassle. But not our boss.
With police, there's no sense that there's any kind of process whatsoever. And, each of the times that I've been stopped with police, the first thing they want to do is enter my car. And I don't allow that. So I always make sure that when I stop, my doors are locked so that they cannot enter my car. So I roll down the window and then we have our conversation. My request to them all the time is, if you believe I have violated something, go ahead and give me a ticket, right? So they always threaten to book me. And I said, no problem, go give me the tickets. It's this simple. In my mind, it's very simple. Give me a ticket, we go through a process. And each and every single time they can't do it. They can't give me a ticket. And at some point when they realize that I'm not letting them in my car, then the next thing they threaten is, we're gonna book you. We're gonna take you to the station and book you. And to that, I always say, okay, no problem. Lead the way, I will follow you. So whenever I encounter them, I always stick to my, if you believe I violated something, go ahead and give me a ticket. Follow process. And they never do. And so since they never follow process, I usually end up just going along on my way. No bribes, no nothing. Just keep moving.
So the best defense is to understand your rights.
And your responsibilities.
We will include in our episode descriptions the links to various official sites where you can get more information about the types of traffic code violations and the fine associated with each. Keep in mind, there could be additional requirements that are not listed. For example, even though the fine for use of phone while driving is 4,000 naira, the process to retrieve your confiscated license or vehicle may include additional steps like a psychiatric exam.
So the best thing when you're stopped is to stay calm. Know that there is a process that does not involve you giving bribes to anyone, but the process will take up your time and cause you major inconvenience.
But then you learn your lesson and you think twice before you commit the offense again.
Wait, what happens if you don't agree with the offense that you're being accused of?
Actually, you can go to court. On the ticket that the FRSC gives, there's a question: do you wish to waive your right to a court trial? And you can tick yes or no.
If you waive the right to a court trial, then you can pay the fine. And the ticket specifically says that the payment should be made into a federal government revenue account at any of the commercial banks or online through Remitter. So technically you can go to court, but honestly, who has the time?
Hey everyone. Now, I like process. Having a process gives me a sense of predictability, a sense of control. When there's a process, I know what is going to happen, and I don't have to spend precious mental energy thinking about what may happen. When there's a process, I can do what needs to be done and move on. But a process requires a few things before it can work. First, knowledge. People need to know what the process is and what to expect. Second, people need the discipline to execute the process consistently. And third, trust that the process is being executed without bias. And finally, for a process to work, it needs one more thing: complete transparency. If you ever stop at a major junction anywhere in Nigeria and there's a traffic officer at that junction, you will witness one of the most efficient processes this country has. First of all, everyone has agreed on what we all must do when we get to a junction. We stop and we wait for the traffic officer to give us a signal. Second, for the most part, we are all disciplined and consistent about stopping and waiting for that signal, as long as an officer is there. Third, the traffic officers are not biased about what side of traffic they allow to move. There's no use in bribing a traffic officer. Because fourth, there is 100% transparency in what happens at a junction. Knowledge, discipline, fairness, and transparency. Those four elements make for a solid, incorruptible process. So, If you want to corrupt a process, the first thing you do is you hide the knowledge. Make it hard for people to find information so that they have to believe whatever you tell them. For example, tell them that the fine for light violation is 40,000 naira when in fact, it's 2,000 naira plus a confiscated license or vehicle. And of course, they don't know that they can demand that you show them proof. But let's say a few of the people manage to get the knowledge somehow. The next thing you can do to corrupt a process is to make it inefficient. Create as much frustration as possible so that the people get pushed to the point of just giving up. So maybe you can threaten to book them at a police station or threaten to call a superior officer. But right before they give up, the next thing you do is make them feel like you're going to do them a favor. This is where the negotiations come in, and this is a critical point in corrupting the process. So you tell them, pay only 10,000 naira to me now, and I'll make sure you don't go through the actual process. You promise them that you will save them the frustration of being booked. And at that point, they feel like they have no choice, so they pay you. And of course, there's no receipt. No transparency about what just happened. The process of corruption is complete, and all it took was the lack of knowledge. The Backstory is brought to you by E Media Productions. Production copyright 2021 E Media Productions. If you enjoyed this episode of The Backstory and want to hear more, subscribe to our 234 Audio YouTube channel. Episodes of this podcast can also be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. This episode of The Backstory was produced by John Iwodi, Anthonieta Kalunta, Dominic